Have you ever sat down to work only to realize an hour later that you've done absolutely nothing? You check your phone, scroll for a few minutes, switch tabs, start a task, get distracted again. And yet, you feel frustrated, thinking, why can't I just focus? The truth is, it's not your fault. Your brain is wired for distractions. Modern life trains us to be busy but scattered, productive but half present. But what if I told you there's a completely different way? A method that doesn't rely on willpower, time blocking, or fancy apps. Something ancient, yet incredibly simple, that Japanese monks and artisans have been using for centuries to train their minds to focus fully on just one thing at a time. It's called Ichigyo-Zammai. The name might sound mysterious, but the principle is shockingly straightforward: full presence, total attention, one task at a time. And yet, most people never experience it, because we've been taught the exact opposite: to multitask, to rush, to split our attention in every direction. By the end of this video, you'll understand not just what Ichigyo-Zammai is, but why it works so powerfully, and how even a few minutes of practice could completely transform the way you focus, work, and even live your day-to-day life. But first, let's uncover what this concept really means, and why it's been quietly changing lives for centuries. What Ichigyo-Zammai really means. So, what exactly is Ichigyo-Zammai? The phrase comes from Japanese Zen tradition, and if you break it down, it literally means single-task concentration, or total immersion in one action. But it's more than just doing one thing at a time. It's about how you do it. It's about bringing your full mind, body, and attention to every single movement, every single task, every single moment. In Japanese culture, this idea isn't just philosophical, it's practical. Artisans who make ceramics, monks who practice calligraphy, even tea masters following the traditional tea ceremony all live by this principle. When they wash a cup, they wash it completely with full awareness. When they pour tea, they pour with total focus. It may seem simple or even boring at first glance, but this simple act is the training ground for the mind. The reason it's so powerful is because most of us never experience true presence. Think about your day. Even while doing something as mundane as brushing your teeth, how often is your mind elsewhere? Planning tomorrow, worrying about a meeting, scrolling your phone. In Ichigyo-Zammai, there is no elsewhere. There is only the task in front of you. Every action, every thought, every breath is fully alive. It's also worth noting that Ichigyo-Zammai isn't about speed or efficiency in the conventional sense. You're not rushing to finish faster, you're actually slowing down in the right way, focusing so completely that your mind stops scattering, and your brain enters a deeper state of engagement. In a way, it's like mental decluttering. You're clearing the noise so your attention can settle, your creativity can flow, and even small tasks feel satisfying instead of draining. And here's something most people don't realize. This concept isn't just about work or productivity. It's a lifestyle that affects your emotional and psychological state. When you fully immerse in one action, anxiety fades, your mind calms, and even routine moments become meaningful. That's the subtle power of Ichigyo-Zammai. It turns the ordinary into something extraordinary, simply by asking you to be present. But understanding it isn't enough. Like anything, it's in the practice where the real magic happens. And that's where we'll go next: how modern life constantly pulls your attention apart, and why this ancient method is more relevant today than ever. Why modern life breaks your focus. Now, you might be wondering, if Ichigyo-Zammai is so powerful, why don't more people do it? The answer is simple. Modern life is built to pull your attention apart. Everywhere you turn, your focus is under attack. Notifications buzz every few minutes. Social media feeds scroll endlessly, promising a little thrill but delivering scattered thought after scattered thought. Emails pile up, tasks overlap, meetings interrupt. Even our homes, once spaces of rest, now echo with constant distractions. Our brains aren't naturally wired for this chaos. We weren't designed to juggle 10 different things at once. Yet that's exactly what we've trained ourselves to do. We pride ourselves on multitasking, thinking it makes us more productive. But in reality, it does the opposite. Each time you switch from one task to another, even for a few seconds, your brain has to reset. That mental reset might take as long as 20 minutes to fully regain focus. In other words, what feels like efficiency is actually time lost. And here's the kicker: it's not just about work. Distractions seep into every corner of your life. You scroll while eating, you check your phone while talking to someone, you think about what's next while you're supposed to be present in the moment. Every time your attention splits, you lose something invisible: the depth of experience, the richness of thought, the simple clarity of being in the moment. You might finish tasks, but you don't feel them. Life starts to feel like a blur. The funny or sad part is that we've been conditioned to accept this as normal. Productivity hacks, to-do lists, apps promising focus, even motivational quotes. They all treat symptoms, not the cause. They try to force attention back after it's been pulled apart, instead of training the mind to stay fully present in the first place. That's where Ichigyo-Zammai comes in. It's not another tool or hack. It's a mindset reset, a way to tell your brain, stop scattering, start noticing, start experiencing. And the benefits aren't subtle. People who practice single-task concentration notice that even their stress levels drop, work becomes less chaotic, less exhausting. Hobbies feel more satisfying, conversations become more engaging, tasks that used to feel impossible suddenly feel doable. Your mind doesn't race to the next distraction, it actually stays with you. But here's the part that shocks most people. Even a few minutes of practice each day can start retraining your attention. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. You don't need expensive apps or complicated techniques. You just need to notice how scattered your mind has become and gently bring it back to one thing at a time. Next, we'll dive into the ancient Japanese wisdom behind Ichigyo-Zammai, where it comes from, why Zen monks valued it so highly, and why it's not just a productivity trick, but a philosophy of life that has quietly shaped centuries of mastery and calm. The ancient Japanese wisdom behind Ichigyo-Zammai. To truly understand Ichigyo-Zammai, we need to step back, far back, into the heart of Japanese Zen tradition. This isn't just a productivity tip or a life hack, it's a philosophy that has guided masters, monks, and artisans for centuries. In Japan, Zen isn't about complicated rituals or exotic spirituality for the sake of appearance. It's about presence. It's about training the mind to be completely, unwaveringly here, in this moment, in this action, fully alive. The roots of Ichigyo-Zammai trace to centuries-old Zen monasteries, where monks practiced zazen, sitting meditation, for hours on end. They weren't meditating to escape reality or chase a mystical state. They were training their minds to stay focused on the simplest, most fundamental actions: breathing, sitting, walking, washing, or even sweeping the temple floor. Every movement was a meditation, every action a practice. Take the example of a Zen tea ceremony, perhaps the most famous illustration of Ichigyo-Zammai in action. Every step, cleaning the tea utensils, boiling the water, whisking the tea, is performed with deliberate attention. Nothing is rushed, nothing is wasted. The mind isn't wandering to the past or worrying about the future. Every motion, every breath, every glance is fully owned. To an outsider, it might look slow or even mundane, but for those practicing, it's a powerful mental discipline that sharpens the mind, calms the emotions, and deepens awareness. This principle doesn't only apply to ceremonial or spiritual practices. Artisans in traditional Japanese crafts, like sword making, ceramics, calligraphy, or lacquer work, follow the same philosophy. A swordsmith spends months, sometimes years, crafting a single blade. Each hammer strike, each fold of steel, is executed with complete focus. Any lapse in attention, no matter how small, could ruin the work. But the goal isn't just perfection in the object, it's perfection in mind and presence. The object becomes a reflection of the mind, fully engaged, fully alive, fully present. And here's the fascinating part. Zen teachers believed that this type of single-task focus didn't just improve skill, it transformed the practitioner. When your mind fully attends to one task, you begin to notice subtle patterns, hidden details, and relationships you would otherwise miss. Your thinking becomes clearer, your emotional reactions soften. Even ordinary moments begin to feel meaningful, almost sacred. Life itself becomes richer, not because anything has changed externally, but because your perception, your attention, has changed. Imagine applying this in your modern life, brushing your teeth, washing dishes, answering emails. Done with this kind of focus, you'd start noticing nuances and details you never saw before. Small tasks stop feeling tedious. Stress levels drop because your mind isn't scattered across 10 different worries. Every moment, no matter how mundane, becomes an opportunity to train your attention and calm your mind. What's remarkable is how counterintuitive it is for most of us. In a world that celebrates speed, multitasking, and constant busyness, slowing down and focusing intensely on one thing can feel almost rebellious. But that's exactly why Ichigyo-Zammai is so powerful. It goes against the flow of modern distraction, retraining your brain in a way that no app, checklist, or productivity hack ever could. Next, we'll explore exactly how this practice works in real life and how applying Ichigyo-Zammai, even for a few minutes a day, can start transforming your focus, productivity, and emotional clarity in ways you wouldn't expect. How Ichigyo-Zammai works in real life. Now that we understand the philosophy behind Ichigyo-Zammai, the next question is obvious. How do you actually use it in real life? And more importantly, why does it work so well, even today, when distractions are everywhere? It starts with one simple idea: doing one thing at a time, fully. That doesn't mean you just avoid your phone while brushing your teeth. It means immersing yourself completely in whatever action you're doing, so your mind is not wandering anywhere else. The difference might seem subtle at first, but it's transformative. Imagine drinking a cup of coffee in the morning. Most of us pour it, check our phones, scroll social media, and maybe respond to a message while barely tasting the coffee. We're doing multiple things at once, but really, we're barely present for any of them. In Ichigyo-Zammai, you'd pour the coffee, hold the cup, and truly taste it. You notice the aroma, the warmth, the subtle bitterness or sweetness. Your mind doesn't drift. For just a few minutes, you're completely alive in that moment, and that clarity and presence actually carry over into the rest of your day. Another example is walking. Most of us walk while thinking about emails, errands, or replaying the past. But in Ichigyo-Zammai, walking becomes a meditation. You notice your steps, the rhythm of your feet, the air on your skin, the sounds around you. Your mind stops racing and begins to settle. Even a simple walk turns into a reset for your attention. The science behind this is fascinating. When your brain focuses on one task fully, it enters a state similar to what researchers call flow. Distractions drop away, time feels distorted, and your mind processes information more efficiently. Multitasking, by contrast, splits your attention, overloads your cognitive resources, and leaves you mentally exhausted. One task at a time is not slower. It's sharper, deeper, and ultimately more productive. In modern work, you can apply this to almost anything: writing an email, reading a book, cooking, exercising, even cleaning your room. The key is total attention. When your mind stays present, you notice subtleties that would normally slip by. Your work becomes more accurate, more meaningful, and even faster, because you're not constantly losing focus and having to restart. There's also an emotional benefit. Practicing Ichigyo-Zammai trains patience, reduces stress, and makes everyday tasks feel more satisfying. Instead of rushing through life, you begin to feel the small moments. Even mundane chores, like washing dishes or folding laundry, become opportunities to calm the mind and build attention. You're not just completing tasks, you're reclaiming control over your own focus, which is rare in today's distracted world. What's truly remarkable is how flexible this technique is. You don't need a quiet monastery or a special schedule. You can do it on your commute, while eating, while walking, even during short breaks at work. All it takes is a conscious choice to immerse yourself fully in one action. And the effects accumulate. Just a few minutes a day can retrain your brain to resist distractions, sharpen focus, and transform how you experience every part of your day. But this isn't a magic pill, it's a practice. And like any skill, it gets easier and more powerful with consistency. The more you do it, the more natural it feels. Tasks that once seemed boring or overwhelming suddenly become manageable. Your mind feels clearer, your stress melts, and over time, you start noticing something incredible. Life itself feels richer and more vibrant, simply because you're present. Next, we'll explore the unexpected benefits most people completely miss when practicing Ichigyo-Zammai. Benefits that go far beyond productivity, touching your creativity, emotions, and even your relationships in ways you never anticipated. Surprising benefits most people miss. When most people hear about Ichigyo-Zammai, they immediately think, okay, this will help me focus better or get more work done. And yes, it absolutely does improve concentration and productivity. But the surprising truth is that the benefits go far deeper, into your emotions, your creativity, and even how you experience life itself. For starters, practicing single-task concentration actually reduces stress in ways most modern techniques can't. When your mind is scattered, anxiety builds. You're constantly thinking about 10 things at once: what's due tomorrow, what someone said yesterday, the next task on your list. That constant mental juggling is exhausting, and it triggers a subtle but relentless stress response in your body. Ichigyo-Zammai interrupts that. By giving your full attention to one thing at a time, you signal to your brain, I am here, I am safe, I am present. That simple shift lowers tension, calms the nervous system, and leaves you feeling more grounded. There's also a hidden creative benefit. When your attention is scattered, your brain doesn't have space to notice patterns or make new connections. But when you immerse yourself fully in one action, whether it's writing, drawing, cooking, or even walking, your brain begins to notice subtle details that were invisible before. You start spotting patterns, generating ideas, and seeing solutions you would never have caught in a distracted state. Many artists, writers, and innovators unknowingly rely on this principle. Deep, undistracted focus allows creativity to flourish naturally. Even your relationships can improve. Think about how often you've had a conversation while half listening, thinking about your phone or your next comment. The other person notices. They feel unheard. Ichigyo-Zammai trains you to fully be there, to listen without interrupting your own thoughts, to respond from genuine attention. Suddenly, conversations feel richer, more meaningful, and more connected. People remember that presence, and it builds trust and emotional depth that multitasking could never create. And then there's the sense of satisfaction. When you complete a task with full attention, even a simple one like washing dishes or making your bed, it feels surprisingly fulfilling. Your brain rewards this focus. You feel accomplished in a way that rushing through tasks can never give you. That satisfaction creates momentum. The more you practice, the more your mind naturally seeks these fully immersive moments, and the less appealing constant distraction becomes. Perhaps the most subtle benefit of all is clarity. When you practice Ichigyo-Zammai consistently, your mind begins to recognize when it's drifting, when it's scattered, or when it's trying to juggle too much. You develop a kind of mental radar that gently brings you back to the present, without force or frustration. Over time, you start noticing things about yourself, your habits, your reactions, your hidden patterns that were invisible before. You start seeing the world with sharper, more vibrant eyes, simply because your mind is present to notice it. And here's the final, perhaps most surprising point: these benefits compound. They don't appear all at once. At first you may notice a small improvement in focus. Then a week later, mundane tasks feel easier. Soon after, conversations feel deeper. Stress begins to fade. Your creativity increases. And eventually, even your sense of time shifts. You no longer feel life slipping away in a blur of half-finished tasks. Instead, you feel fully alive in the moments you inhabit. Ichigyo-Zammai doesn't just help you get through the day. It changes how you experience life. The tasks themselves become meaningful, your attention becomes a skill rather than a burden, and your mind learns the rarest ability in the modern world, to be fully present. How to start practicing Ichigyo-Zammai today? By now, you've probably realized that Ichigyo-Zammai isn't just a concept, it's a skill, but like any skill, it needs practice. And here's the good news. You don't need to meditate for hours in a quiet temple or completely overhaul your life to start experiencing its benefits. You can begin right now with small, practical steps that anyone can implement. The first step is awareness. The moment you notice your mind drifting, pause and gently bring it back to the present. For example, if you're eating breakfast while scrolling on your phone, stop scrolling. Focus on the taste, the texture, the temperature of your food. Really notice the coffee or the toast, the aroma, the crunch. That's your first exercise in single-task concentration. It may feel unusual at first. Your mind will fight it. That's normal. The key is to gently return your attention each time it wanders. Next, start small with dedicated moments of focus. Pick one simple daily activity, walking, washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or making your bed, and commit to doing it fully for 5 minutes. No distractions, no multitasking. At first, 5 minutes may feel like a long time because your brain is so used to scattering. That's okay. The struggle itself is part of the training. With practice, those 5 minutes will start to feel natural, even enjoyable. Another powerful technique is to time-box tasks. Set short, clear intervals where your only goal is to focus entirely on a single activity. For instance, choose 10 minutes to write an email without checking your phone or thinking about anything else. Or dedicate 15 minutes to reading a book. No notifications, no half-hearted scrolling. These micro-practices train your mind to hold attention steadily, building endurance over time. You can also incorporate mindful transitions between tasks. Modern life encourages jumping from one activity to another without pause, but Ichigyo-Zammai teaches a different rhythm. Before starting a new task, take a few seconds to breathe, center yourself, and set your intention. Tell yourself, this is the task I will fully engage in now. That brief moment of mindfulness dramatically improves your focus and sets the tone for the action that follows. Technology doesn't have to be your enemy either. You can use it to support your practice. Apps that block notifications or track single-task sessions can help, but they're only tools. The real power comes from your conscious decision to stay present, not from the tool itself. Over time, you'll notice you need fewer supports, because your brain has learned to resist distraction naturally. Another key tip: embrace patience. Ichigyo-Zammai is not about speed. It's not about completing tasks faster than before. In fact, slowing down intentionally is exactly what trains the mind. When you fully engage in an action, you notice subtleties, details, and connections that would otherwise be missed. A slow, mindful approach actually leads to greater efficiency, creativity, and satisfaction over time. Finally, reflect on your practice daily. Even a few minutes of journaling or mental review can help you see where your attention drifted and where you succeeded. Celebrate small wins, noticing distractions, returning your mind to the task, or fully engaging in a simple activity. These reflections reinforce the habit, gradually building a life where focused attention feels natural and rewarding. By incorporating these practices consistently, you transform your attention from a fragmented resource into a powerful tool. Tasks that once felt boring or overwhelming begin to feel meaningful. Stress decreases, creativity flourishes, even your relationships deepen because your mind learns to stay fully present. And the best part is, you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to start. You can begin right now in the simplest, most ordinary parts of your day. So, what have we discovered on this journey into Ichigyo-Zammai? We've explored an ancient Japanese practice that at first glance seems deceptively simple: focus on one thing at a time. But beneath that simplicity lies a profound shift, a way to reclaim your attention, your clarity, and even the quality of your life itself. Think back to the moments when you were distracted today. How many of them could have been transformed if you had been fully present, even for just a few seconds? Now imagine if you practiced Ichigyo-Zammai consistently, not for a day, not for a week, but as a habit, a mindset, a lens through which you experience every action, every moment. Tasks that once felt tedious suddenly feel meaningful. Stress no longer lingers like a shadow over your day. Creativity, calm, and focus begin to flow naturally. This practice doesn't just make you more productive. It makes life richer. It reconnects you with ordinary moments, the warmth of a cup of tea, the rhythm of your footsteps, the subtle expressions of the people around you. The world stops feeling like a blur and starts feeling alive, detailed, and deeply satisfying. And here's the secret most people miss. Ichigyo-Zammai doesn't require extraordinary circumstances. You don't need to retreat to a monastery. You don't need special equipment. You don't need long, complicated routines. All it requires is intention, awareness, and practice, even in the smallest moments. The dishes you wash tonight, the walk you take tomorrow, the cup of coffee you drink next week, all become opportunities to train your mind, sharpen your attention, and enrich your experience. Over time, this practice begins to spill into every area of life. Your work improves, your creativity blooms, your relationships deepen, stress fades. The world feels less chaotic, more manageable, more vibrant.